And now for something completely different.
For today's episode of the Kachasu Philosophers, today I was speaking to Wapi, and he was being a little bit funny because he thinks I'm avoiding him deliberately. So when he asked me what I was doing today, I said I'm doing a podcast with Moto, and he was like, "What podcast are you doing with Moto?" Like sort of being coy, you know. And I was like, "Oh, it's called the Kachasu Philosophers," and I was like, "Damn, that's good."
What did he think? You know? What should I use?
He was coming for the gusto. He was trying to make it look like what? Because I do a podcast with him, you know. So I was like, damn, that's good. So what do you guys talk about? Like Kachasu philosophy, right? What else can we talk about?
What is there to talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, you know. Today, I would like to talk about something that I think we don't get to talk about a lot, right? And that's grief. Right?
Nice.
It's grief. I think we once had a conversation where I was saying I never used to understand how people would have funerals on their timelines on social media. This social media time, and you explained to me like, oh, that's just them grieving, you know. I got it when my turn came. You know?
We ended up in the same spot.
I was in a position where people are like, let's take away his sport. There's a weird thing that happens with grieving on social media. Somehow you're still in competition.
My funeral is the best. You know who died?
Somehow you still want to be the best grieved person with the most likes for your grief.
You know my funeral, And it's me.
It's me. It's you.
You know how you know me.
It's Krytic.
Are you not affected?
This should be a national holiday. This should be a day of national holiday.
Guys, you want to remain functional.
Yeah, I felt that moment for real when my mom died. I was like, why isn't this like a national holiday? Because I was in torment, and everybody seems to be like, it's crazy in those moments. Like you see people pass you by. Like they stop. You see them stop what they're doing to grieve with you for a few seconds, and then they go back to what they're doing. Like when these people came to the farmhouse, I remember noticing them taking off the chitenges as they were leaving. This lady, and I was like, so there's another thing. You're probably going to a dinner. You know what I mean? It's like life moves on.
It was just yesterday I was thinking about how we lose people twice.
What does that mean?
That death is such an interesting event, in existence. The disappearance of a soul, the disappearance of a person, the loss, of one of you, the loss of a piece of yourself. So when somebody dies and, you have a funeral procession, and finally you even see them in the coffin, dead and gone. Their presence is still there, in the sense that the time that you will take them to the grave for burial is the second loss. When you leave that person 6 feet under and you walk away from it, that's an even deeper loss. Because what you have left...
I was about to say.
Yeah.
You said it's twice. I think the crazy thing about death is it's in perpetuity, right? It's at every moment that you're going to need that person, that loss reawakens. You know what I mean? I think it's like in perpetuity. Like there'll always be something that happens that you realize that if this person was here, this would be a different experience for me. This would be a different reality, you know. Not so different as in like circumstances would be different, but I would approach this different, you know. There would be 2 more ears, you know what I mean, in this chain of human beings. And I may have approached things slightly different. And this perpetual loss that you go through, like it just keeps winding back, which I assume is grief.
You can always avoid a perpetual loss. You know, I was with my older sister in Amsterdam. And as we were in the city, we were walking around. And she asked me, Moto, now mwana kwe chidiro kuno. You know?
That's ridiculous.
Moto, now mwana kwe chidiro kuno. And really and truly, Takwadi.
City planning.
A very interesting thing.
Funerals are happening in a
very interesting
corner.
thing. But the perpetuity, which is problematic here, usually comes from, and we all experience it, from a lack of true interaction. There is a thing we do as human beings when we have things around us. They become part and parcel of us that we take them for granted. Not knowing that these things that are around us are the things that can be taken away. You cannot be taken away. Anything that is in you cannot be taken away. Don't be worried about that. But anything that you have acquired around you can be taken away. So you cannot begin to take the things that are around you for granted, because they are not yours. They can be taken away. And I noticed one thing out of this question that my sister asked me, is that every time we saw a group of people sitting, they were not on their mobile phones, they were having genuine conversations. And she further said something very interesting around her own life. How they sit down with the children at the dinner table and they all have an open conversation. And everybody will listen. 10-year-old boy, shut up.
Why do you think we're afraid of children talking at the dinner table?
We are afraid of the children becoming our friends. You know, because if there's anything that a Zambian, man fears, is a child becoming, his friend.
Why?
Because grown up is something that you buy. Because you yourself, actually that you're not that grown up. By virtue of knowing that you don't know a lot of things and you have a lot of insecurities. And children appear not to have any insecurities. Therefore, they can embarrass you at any given point in time if you associate with them for too long. So there must be some form of restriction in interaction. The way you interact with me, you have to think, you have to choose. It has to be in a very controlled environment, almost like it is an experiment. And that creates a detachment, in relationships. So when people die here, we'll have a funeral for a week. And people will come around from God knows where, and they will come and do what is known as money. And you will feed them for a number of days. You will buy drinks, you will buy bread, chicken, mini meal, cooking oil. It's going to be expensive. You're even going to destroy your house for a little bit. While you are suffering, you've lost someone. You don't even know what to do next because you are in grief. But while you are in grief, people should come and grieve with you, but at your expense. That's very destructive. Yeah. Very destructive. That after the funeral, you have lost so much. You have lost so much for simply an ending to a relationship. You know what I mean? Eh? For simply an ending to a relationship. And if you respected that relationship as it was alive, you wouldn't really have a problem letting go. One of the things that troubles us when we are sick are the times we were well. And then we didn't, so I don't go to pause like I'm fridge like this. Why pause and pause otherwise I give Shaparish now for inside. So Panonga is food it. I will God this is 10 days later.
Yeah. There's this shawarma plate from 2012 that I think about all the time.
That plate is only nice once.
It was at North Meat. And we got this shawarma plate and we're going to the club. And I was like, I'm going to eat it when I get a bit high. So went in the club, partied the night away. Went home. Yes, off alcohol.
Oh, very nice.
Went home, woke up the next day, had food, went about my day. And then the guy I was hanging out with called me and was like, hey, do you know that you left the shawarma plate and we threw it to the dogs? So that in that moment I was like, whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. But there have been moments after that I think about.
Indeed. Shawarma. Also, I wouldn't be this hungry.
If I saved it for now.
So I paid that shawarma. That was 5 years ago. So you see, you don't want to have that kind of a situation. That's why sometimes I find myself eating because I am on a weight gain program. So even when I don't really feel like eating, I kind of force myself because appetite for me not so great. So I find myself forcing myself to eat because I just don't want to remember tomorrow that so I'm constantly forced to
eat your shawarma.
Yeah, eat your shawarma plate. And that plate is only nice once. The first time I had it, I was like, what is this? Why don't people eat this a lot? Why do they eat right? Because if it were up to me, I'd just be eating a shawarma plate. Because this is amazing. Chips in there, chips, vegetables, the naan is on the side.
You didn't have it the second time?
When I had it the second, I was like, hey, what's going on here? Maybe sometimes. And then I tried it again, and then just died, like that. And it was just that one first shawarma.
We're polar opposites like that.
You lose the shawarma plate.
No, as in to date, I am a huge fan of shawarma plate.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Like
because you lost the shawarma plate.
For me, it was very miraculous when I found shawarma plates.
Yeah, it was quite miraculous for me.
I was used to shawarma.
Yes,
and my guy was like, have you ever tried a deconstructed shawarma? I was like, what in the world? I even found a method. They even knew when I go there, they only give me one bread. Because they usually give you two. So I only used to get one. Because the meat is worth two shawarma.
Yes. So I just want the bread.
You see how I even know the dimensions of the shawarma?
Yeah, no. I'm very well known. The experience that you had as you describe it, miraculous, is the very same experience I had with the first shawarma plate.
Yeah.
That it was totally...
Oh no, it's still beautiful for me.
I don't know.
It's still beautiful. Our relationship is still going strong.
Yeah, but no, we'll go back maybe sometime soon, because it's been years now. So, it's been years. So definitely,
there's an interesting one at Long Acres roundabout.
All night shawarma play time. I want to eat. Just you know where to go.
So back to grief.
Yes.
And losing shawarma plates.
Yes. Yes. So we are all. We need to know this. We're all gonna die.
Most Steph says we're all walking in the same direction.
Which is we're all going to die. That's why I am really of the strong view that antagonism is a complete waste of time because we are all going to die. Can we leave that departure moment as the only painful experience of life? Other than life itself being painful to experience because you are fighting, there's war, there's antagonism, there's conflict,
It's an election year.
I mean, let's put it this way. Christmas is a nice day. You know why it is a nice day? Christmas is a nice day.
To each other.
Yes, because everywhere, at least half of the globe understands the Christmas holiday and they have it. But the point with it is that it's a day when everyone is feeling nice. And you see, when your neighbor feels nice, it's like when your neighbor has a party. You know how nice it is for you? When your neighbor has a party, it should be very nice for you when your neighbor has a party because your neighbor is not angry. Your neighbor is having a good time. And you should feel good over the fact that, people are feeling good. Now, this is a day when everyone, somehow, like it's mandatory. Christmas Day. What's going on here? Like it's a wonderful day simply because happiness is more like the default. But why can't we have Christmas every day?
Zambia shouldn't be a Christian nation. It should be a Christmas nation.
Yes. Why can't we have Christmas every day? Why should we knock off from Christmas and then go into war?
Because it's not every day rice and chicken.
And that's the reason why we cry for 3 days. Because we put forward more fighting with our loved ones than loving. Than trying to make someone's world pleasant. Because it never takes anything away from you if that is your attempt. The same guaranteed will come back to you. So what kind of a world are you trying to immediately create around you? That in it you should feel so much war rather than peace and love and start a ministry.
What's crazy? In the back of my mind, I was thinking, this guy sounds like a pastor. And lo and behold,
nailed it to the cross for you.
The sun opened up. And the doves came down and Pastor Moto declared.
But the simple point is
but you see also a reason for conflict is at an atomic level, right? That's just what it is.
We
have to run into each other.
I know, but you see, the strange thing is that there have been some remarkable changes that we have done in certain areas of our existence. For example, isn't it remarkable that we can sit here and record what is known as a podcast? Using this equipment technology that we have built from just, nothing. Like, it has taken us quite a remarkable amount of knowledge to be able to arrive at this particular point and do things like flying, wearing clothes. If we are that intelligent, Do you think that these are the only areas that can be engineered to these remarkable possibilities? The openness of it all is that we tend to apply our intelligence only in the conversion of reality into objects. The soft part of it, in operating it as an operating system, we don't apply as many upgrades to it as we are supposed to. That we have only gone as far as discovering a field and calling it psychology. Like, that's how far we've only managed to go into solving the human mind problem.
I mean, psychologists will disagree with you.
No, what I mean is that we have not extensively gone as we possibly could, because the other things that we have done are quite a marvel. Shooting from the surface of this planet and landing on another rock called the moon there.
I don't know how we ended up here. Neil deGrasse Tyson was saying something recently that I heard. He was talking about the motivations of science. And he was like, you can look at the years in which the world has made scientific expansion, right? And most of it is funded by institutions that always see that expansion as a profit for them. This means that there's a lot of aspects of human expansion that are overlooked if a nation or government, quote unquote, does not view itself as profitable. And those may be the places where things like psychology lies, right? Where it's like, what's the profit of expanding a nation's psychology? You know what I mean? Like, we could be building missiles.
Episode, I think it was 1, towards the end, we had this very conversation where we broke down, basically, how, for example, religion has motivated philosophy, and philosophy has motivated technology or science, basically. That there are always these motivating factors, but the motivating factors, for me, are not really the issue. The issue is, I don't think we have broadened enough our intelligence as a species.
The reason is because of the motivation factors, right?
Yeah, that I understand.
What we choose to study.
Yes, that I understand.
What we choose to expand it.
Yes, that I understand. It's an issue because it is obvious. The bigger problem is this very same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's on those levels that you're talking about. If we realize that life is happening in the moment, right? And we'll never be in perpetual grief, which is what we establish unto the world by existing as though we are not human beings. You know what I mean? Existing as though we're in constant conflict. We just bring grief into the world. And we know how this grief feels. You know what I mean? Each and every one of us on earth can empathize with grief. Loss of some sort, one way or the other. But how come mankind is trapped in this game of perpetually destroying itself and bringing grief unto itself?
It's the problem is that for there to be existence, there has to be opposition at a much more grander level. Only that there has to be opposition. But if we take ourselves to think at that grander level, that there must be opposition, can we take us a bit further down and figure out how we can make it habitable in the meantime before we can reach that grander level where we lose insignificance. Sorry, where we lose significance.
Can you figure out how shawarma
explode
shawarma plates?
You know.
I don't know which one's first. Which one came first, the shawarma or the shawarma plate? But anyway.
It's shawarma.
Who knows? Who knows? That's the chicken and the egg question for you. Which one came first, the shawarma or the shawarma plate?
The chicken and the egg question.
Oh, you figured out the chicken and the egg?
I mean, it's logical. It's straightforward. You know.
Yes, sir. Tell us. Explain to us.
The chicken or the egg? It is as simple as the beginning.
Sir, just answer the question. Just answer the question so we can get back to talking about grief. Please, sir.
I know.
It was a chicken having an omelette.
Literally, you know, you have to take it back to abiogenesis.
Yeah.
You have to take it back to abiogenesis. And you have to see how the first organism is formed from chemicals. The first life form, you know, is beginning to create form as a portion of energy, you know, existing. And it basically begins from a cellular level. So obviously, we would then term the cellular level as the animal.
Not the egg.
No.
Isn't that what an egg is?
No.
Isn't it?
No.
Isn't it?
The aliveness of something, you know. So there has to be life first before there's life other.
I don't know. Let us know how you feel about that chicken and egg solution.
Yeah, no, because so we're talking about grief.
We're talking about grief. Let's talk about something we know about.
Chickens.
Not chickens, please. No.
Yeah.
That would just turn into an omelette.
Indeed.
Yeah. Where were we talking about grief?
Creating a more interactive, you know, environment for you, such that you will understand that we are all going to die. But before we die, can we let death be the only painful thing about life? By mastering relationships with your environment.
Do you think it's achievable?
Yes, it is. Very achievable. It is the thing that we have been constantly looking for. You know, you must be content with what you have. You know, it sounds now very stupid, but yeah, you must be content with what you have. But that is the key.
Yeah, but you
the
see,
key is to acknowledge that this is good.
Yes.
You know?
You see, the problem is we live in a society that doesn't hold that philosophy. Right?
That doesn't matter.
No.
You know why it doesn't matter?
I think it matters.
You know why it matters? Because that's the reason why we're talking about it.
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that I'm here with like a long the environment in which the life is growing is very important, right? You cannot, even like you're saying, we cannot hide away from the fact that we are living in an industrious environment. This is why we have got these microphones, for one, right? This is why we've got this technology. All this is sitting on the shoulders of this creating money and capital and things environment, you know? And that by itself, it's going to lead to suffering one way or the other.
Our guys, now our guys, political party.
What do you mean?
Our guys, our political party. One guys.
What do you mean?
Tawa yung kweli ya jama guys over poka political party.
Oh, yung guys.
So hadi ba poka political party. I send I session. Even political party yon ba yandi kai dimwe mwalipata mali organize sana. Kama bote structure. So na mi poka what's na approve number codes. Kwa. So guys. You know, they got so confused that they went and then they went to call the guy who was the former president of the guy who was the former president of the political party. I'm not president of the country, so obviously no queen. What am I going to be doing? Being president of the political party from being president of the country? No. So Naram Shila, na Shila for you, do our plus the acting president. So and then this guy now comes around. Kwa sawa poka political party. Bam vote Wednesday. New president.
In such a...
But wait. The reason why I'm talking about is because they have tried everything to get this political party. And they've tried things like Vaisa number after wire ku makot. No. Ni political party akolombe. Number join. Why do you mean join? Me, I was the president of the political register we don't have a paper now, but that guy is confused by the father of the political party. Speech. No, I'm back. I need some protection. Now you can imagine the trouble now. So they've gone now to the American embassy. They went to the American embassy. The Americans. So I was watching. So but the Americans, you know, I mean, you can see what is going on here. Do something about it.
Yeah.
We are ni head of security. By embassy. But because Musungu, Hero America, information because the information and the head of security. So this is not important.
You remember that video where the guy says, when you go to America, tell 50 Cent I'm coming for him. That's the mentality of the African, you see. Thinking that you must know everything.
But you see, this is our being ignorant. You know, this is our being ignorant to the fact that you have the ability to go back and talk sense with your own people. All right? And arrive at conclusive facts to make decisions and move on. But the relationship that you must mend is not the relationship of foreigners, but just your own people. Isn't it embarrassing that now you have to go this far? You have to go this far. It should be very embarrassing. It should be very embarrassing. Because how are you not able to resolve fights amongst yourselves? It means that as a collective, you're not thinking correctly. And that is the compromise. That you are compromised in thinking. You are compromised in thinking.
You're apparently even compromised in political parties.
And you would even see very intelligent people, making arguments that don't even make sense. Simply because you are compromised in simple things.
The environment in which we exist
creates
this ideology.
We sometimes waste good mathematics on nonsensical things. Because a brilliant person is not supposed to be spending their time doing such things. I can tell you this for a fact, that leadership is not something that you fight for. Why are you fighting for leadership? Leadership so much that never we waking up after.
That's not the reason. It's because it's in our history to fight for leadership.
That's not even my issue. Yeah, my issue.
I'm answering the question. Why are you fighting for leadership? Because we come from a history of having fought for leadership positions. So people believe that that's part of our rite of passage into leadership.
No, it's just laziness. It's just laziness. When you're supposed to do something and then you don't do it, and then you say, let me do it again. What's happening? How is the second time going to be different? Because it is the second time.
My God, even the third time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even the third time. You look at marvelous people who are able to reinvent their rule, like Mugabe. I'm looking at it in a positive light. Because I assume he was there trying to do something, right? But over the course of how many years?
he didn't have the capacity to deliver the dream itself.
Or maybe he delivered and then he started delivering other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the level of excellence. Worries me. And that's why I said that sometimes we spend brilliant mathematics on nonsensical things, and application of intelligence is therefore very, very important, because you will find that if you do not appropriate intelligence, things are not going to balance. Things are not going to balance.
I like how we have still not gone back to grief. This is wonderful.
No, because grief isn't there.
Grief is intelligence.
Grief isn't there in the sense that, the experience of life, I will tell you this, is that it's a very strange thing. Having lived all of it, is a very strange thing, because you see, you imagine that the world goes on when you die. The world doesn't go on when you die. The universe ends because there's no one to think about the world. There's no one to acknowledge it. There's no one to confirm it. For example, we can even talk about history as we are sitting here. But the interesting thing is that it's because we are alive. So therefore, we know about history. Maybe there's never even been history except the present. But by simply virtue of being alive and being conscious, we acknowledge existence. But if you die...
That's crazy when you said, what if there's never been history and all we have is the present? It gave me this idea that we're just 1 microsecond away from a time-eating monster. Something that's swallowing the past just 1 millisecond behind us. You know what I mean? And we're just going forward.
I got anxiety one time at the traffic lights on Great East Road, somewhere near Northmead, some time back.
Okay.
And
the time has finished.
it was about how there's always the next moment. The present is hard to stay. The time-eating monster is very, very fast. That we are constantly moving forward, even as we are speaking right now.
Yeah.
So how many
It's already
moments?
eaten, though.
Yes,
We
How
only
many
remember them in the
moments?
podcast.
How many moments do I have to live? How many moments? It felt like time was.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes.
That's crazy. The time-eating monster is on both ends. You know what I mean? So, like, how do you know whether the next one you step into isn't you find it?
You know?
What a ride.
Yeah. So it's such a rush.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a rush, and that's why by nature, even the universe.
What do you mean it's such a rush?
No, that is the nightmare itself, because it's a rush. You know, it's a rush. You know, it just propels you forward perpetually into time. The next moment, the next moment, the next moment. As you say words, you can't say your words in one instance.
Yeah.
You can't say a paragraph in one instance. It has to unfold. You know.
Then you look to your right and notice that the person who was there isn't there. Him has stepped into his chima. Time is monster. Natural
God damn it. Might be my time.
That's grief.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's grief.
We actually cry for ourselves. And you see, that's the reason why I sometimes refer to the globe as being one organism. You know, it is the fear of death, or rather the fear of an ending that we have. It happens every time someone next to you dies. It makes it feel very close to you.
Because you thought death was far.
You know, some of the most difficult things to think about are things like, how will I die? The ending itself is feared by us living organisms, and it's feared twofold: not existing after
and
pain.
also transitioning.
Yes, the transitioning itself is very, very painful.
Yeah.
You know, if my breath is to just go away, what is that feeling like? And I've tried it.
Gasping for breath.
Gasping for breath. And you can't reach it.
Yeah. And that's like, in my opinion, that's like what we would consider the lucky ones, right? There's worse ways to go.
The ending, however you look at it, there's no worst one. It's just
all bad.
Terrible. It's all bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's all bad. But because we are this one organism, we keep on existing forward into time. Yeah. But as we acknowledge the battle, which is bigger than us, we should then learn to protect our own perimeter, such that anytime we are reaching that definite point,
The time-eating
monster catches us. No one feels like they've lost something because they never got anything. You know, one of the biggest and the most important things at a funeral is a will. What then someone leaves you? And that's the grief that you also have, that they know that before I go, I must make arrangements to leave what I have with these people.
So that the world does not transform into
Yes.
helter-skelter.
So we have this inherent need in us to be able to give, but we don't give each other when we are alive. And that is the one thing that bothers us at a funeral. It is our very own guilt. That first of all, it is an example of my ending. You know, and then you can go into what kind of relationship I had with this person. Therefore, what is the meaning of this ending?
What was the meaning of my life?
And that is really, if people are looking for the meaning of life, that is, it ends.
That's the meaning.
That is the meaning. It is impossible for it to be perpetual. It ends. But it is such an excellent experience in the sense that you even try to continue yourself. That you are not alone, you are surrounded by these copies of yourself and living in the very same reality. And these are the ones that will carry you on. So no one dies.
Except a lonely man.
Yes. No one dies. We all just live together. No one dies, we all just live together. The only time anybody would die is if the planet blew up. Then there would be no one to remember anything. It's almost like we didn't even exist.
It would be terrible
yes.
if the planet blew up, it all shall away.
At least that is even better for the good of humanity. That is even better. Try to get it back together. But the planet blew up and you all died.
I don't know. Me. Because I have to start figuring out to fertilization. And I mean, when I shot a neck, you know what I mean? You guys would be doomed.
I'm going to have vegetables.
I don't mind the vegetables, but I mean, like, how to figure out, like, how do we multiply? Like, how do we start this process again?
All you need to do is die.
First, go and buy a Bible. Bible and don't teach them how to read, because you see, you're the only one who knows English now.
All you need to do is to die.
That's all.
That's all. Because when you die, you are going to add biology into the soil,
to the item.
Then life begins again.
Life begins again. Life begins again. That's a beautiful for the title.
Yeah.
But also, we've got something better than those people who walk around saying life begins at 40. Absolutely. Life begins at death.
I mean, it's the ignorance that we have for our very own life. That to a certain extent, we passively go through a lot of, our moments in life. And that's why we value sleep so much. Because it just kind of is the continuity. I can pretend to be dead, and then tomorrow I can wake up, reborn. It's a different day.
Yeah,
it's a new day.
That's one of mankind's biggest tricks. Sleeping. Don't worry,
the shmako for some time. Oh, for how long? No, just a good 8 hours. It's actually good if I. That time now, shmako. What are you doing? Yeah, no. I mean, you want to shmako? No. For what? Because it's like our mobile phones don't go off. Because back in the day,
that's who they made that welcome message for. You remember old phones used to have a welcome message?
Yes, welcome, good morning. Good morning, my love. No more brand. This is just a time of the day. Why do we need to greet you? Why did we even switch us off? You must charge us. Move with your charger. From time to time, always have a charger nearby. How am I going to go off? So naipoerezo ife twachara turashima ipeziumo. It often happens about now we can have I'm sitting on so kwa ure damba TV.
Yeah. You know, there was a day that I was experiencing fading in and out of consciousness, like dozing. I was watching something, and so I went out and I came back like say 15 minutes later, you know, and I had no idea of how much time had passed. To me, I'd remember that last second when I was like, let me stay awake, and then it feels like you blink and you're back here and it's like now after 15 minutes. Now Mushimako 15 minutes.
Wait, Mona, dozing here should pass her. Dozing. Kutiat, ulimu meeting ya bantu abalibanga 4. And it's just for people who are sitting close like
very
that.
Close proximity.
And then you realize that, oh, now Shima. And then you have to boot yourself up.
Have you ever dozed in a meeting? Have you ever dozed in a meeting?
Have
you ever been found dozing in a meeting?
No. Yeah, unfortunately. But it's wild because I remember there was this guy. We had one to follow a meeting, so we have to be very careful. Anytime Chashima, so I'm hey, I'm what's happening? How overused is the machinery?
If there's something that is beautiful, it's the nonsense, the gibberish that is spoken.
I had to put it up.
If there's something that is beautiful, not everything in the house.
You know, it's in your stupidity from waking up, you think you join a moment from the last room. You left it.
And that's that.
So if you left the conversation at them talking about the tomatoes being bad in the fridge, you come and join, you know, a conversation about the war in in Ukraine. You know, I know the tomatoes actually, my guys, tomatoes good, yeah, they are good tomatoes. You know, they even are donating you know those tomatoes kind we are chatting about. No, it's just walking outside. It's been 2 hours now.
Shit.
You know, so Ushimaku, because there's time that has passed here, but you have not been around for it. Things have been happening around you.
Apparently, that's how it is also in the final moments of life. There's confusion and you know, not understanding your own faculties for a bit. That there's been instances where people have been known to speak out things that don't make sense.
You know, the
things that are also taken in the religious circles as very important things.
You know, the most lonely time in your life is at your death.
When you're dying.
Because you are the only one going. We must die at least a few of us at
that's
death.
why kings used to be buried with like their subjects.
Exactly. Excellent. Because it is your most lonely time, because it's like you are the only person going. And it's very confusing because what is it? What is this? Am I about to experience this thing that I have seen, you know, called death? Is this my time? And you know, that's why sometimes we get panic attacks. You know, when you think that death is knocking at your door, that happened in the COVID times. You know, you are laid in the hospital in Tonokane ward there. It's a bunch of you there. You know, you wake up this morning now, guys, but
I was never. I'm telling you, I was not there. I can't relate to this story. But the trauma that you experience. Were you hospitalized during COVID?
No, I never had COVID.
Where are you getting this story from?
muchipatara kairefianechitika kaii muri muchipatara mikafira shanchaniko iro munove padasashani afwa from the very same disease that you have. You have a panic attack.
He's even looking at you.
Maybe feeling this this is it. And you convince yourself in the mind that this is the case, and you have a panic attack.
All the times that I got COVID, I never once thought it was going to kill me.
How many times you got COVID?
Thrice. About 3 times.
Where Monandi? No COVID.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about being African and flus. Something. You know what I mean? Like, I think I get it from my dad. My dad never used to respect flus. He wouldn't consider it being sick. Yeah. Like you can.
Oh yeah, no.
You got
a flu.
So when I got it, it was very difficult to get my mind to believe that this particular flu was gonna kill
me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was very difficult. I don't know.
You see, it's also the positive
the mindset
that you experienced through that. But for old people, especially for old people, it was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
The willpower is also
children.
Because these, for example, children do not confidently say they can protect themselves. Because you know that you cannot completely protect yourself. And when you are old, you know that you are somehow completely frail.
Yeah.
Everything is not as good as it was, 40 years ago.
Yeah. I had like young couples that were with young children, like 1-2 years old, and you could see the panic. You could see the panic even towards all sorts of vaccines. Also, like there was just this panic in the air. But hey, we're still here, guys. Still making podcasts.
There was that. Which year was that? 2020, when there were disasters every month.
I mean, there's always disaster.
No, I mean like that year. It was a strange year if you remember it. Like there was this like almost every month. If you even look it up, you will see.
Yeah, that's another thing I feel differently about. I feel like there's always disasters. I feel like right now while we're speaking, there's something terrible happening somewhere.
Absolutely. But we had it. It was a different year in terms of just the things that
it's because happened, we were viewing it from inside the house. It's because
like the one that was my biggest marvel. Like, what is this? I remember accidentally watching a video of an explosion in Lebanon.
Oh yeah, at the docks.
Yeah, at the docks there. Yeah. It looked almost like a nuclear explosion, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like I'd never seen anything like that. Only seen in movies.
Level big time.
And it was strange. And that was part of that very same year. We had a lot of. But
speaking of things happening across the world, I don't know if we spoke about this on the last podcast. I'm looking at the commodification of babies in war videos currently. Like the currency for empathy towards the war, right, that's going on in Ukraine and Gaza is being leveraged around young children. You know what I mean? Like, look at these people, they're killing babies. No, look at these people, they're killing babies. But there's a lot of footage of children in either dead or in very harmed positions. That's just all over the timeline. I'm like, it almost feels like the PR correspondents of this war have decided to use children to appeal to the world, you know what I mean? It's pretty desensitizing.
War is fought at many levels, in different ways. It's how globally we fight each other through the media. And we have therefore mastered how to build our very own media machines. And these
like
media
evolution
machines,
theory.
Yeah, these media machines, can go at war, and countries can basically be at war. We're busy reporting each other. Hey, Zara to tell the world. So who's got more global outreach? So that the picture is painted in parts of the world, but always the reporter themselves. And that's why sometimes America enjoys themselves when they're reporting.
Oh yeah.
They enjoy themselves. When they are pretending as though they are not participating. This is not their the way they will report
I'm here in Parliament
in China,
where the president has beaten 5 of his supporters. Why would a man stoop to such low levels of barbarity? But I guess it's just another day in African politics.
Exactly, because then it simply means that in your country, that's not what you do. Because why would you be dying at Rwanda in a Bible for Yaranta? Not to focus on the splinter
in your friend's eye.
Focus on the log that is in yours. So we fight in very different ways, and again, we, for example, fight in terms of money. We steal each other's money. We sanction each other.
You guys don't make money. Because you believe in this, no more money.
So the only time that we get to notice war is when guns are pulled out. But we should notice war. But we should notice war every time we're suffering. We should notice war anytime we go to bed hungry. That we are
should not truly war every time we disagree with each other.
At war in many areas. It's not just guns and bombs. When those guys begin to do that, this is not when they've started fighting.
No.
They've been fighting for a very long time in different forms.
That's not the album.
So you must also bring it back down to yourself and say, whom am I fighting with? Whom am I practicing war with in my neighborhood? And kind of see that it is actually the same bloody bullshit.
Bloody bullshit.
Yes, it's the same bloody bullshit. It's just that you yourself who's at the other end is doing bullshit. Not somebody else. You yourself, person like you.
You think your war is hopeless.
Yes, you are doing some bullshit.
You think your war is righteous.
Because while you are here, you are not educating yourself properly. You are not informing yourself properly. Such that when you are sent to get to that particular level, you will understand. You will have an understanding. You can't go through life not acquiring an understanding for the present. You know what I mean? Only to want to be understanding a lot of things in the future. No, so that was a mistake. No. Understand them now.
In the present.
Yes, in the present. Because you cannot nullify your past. You've been present in the past. You've been acquiring some information. There's a brain. Extrapolate upon the collected information to have some knowledge on the present, not the future, the present.
Which will create the future.
Exactly. But what you're trying to do is to create a better tomorrow.
Yes, Emukwai, we're at the end of our episode.
That's grief, boss. That's grief.
We're at the end of our episode. We've talked about grief, we've talked about war, we have talked about the chicken and the egg, which I'm still very suspicious to you. I just want to say, I don't know.
Animal first.
However, also we've got an upgrade to our show, ladies and gentlemen. We have merchandise coming to the Evolution Theory online store. So remember the quotes we're talking about the previous episode?
Yeah.
We're going to be turning all those into merchandise pieces that you'll be able to find via our Shopify store, and it's called Evolution Theory. We already have some beautiful pieces up there by this amazing rapper guy called Krytic. I don't know, maybe you may have heard of him. He tries. But yeah, you can check out some of those pieces out there. And yet again, thank you for indulging us in our conversations. We have got something written coming soon. Don't want to preempt it. Don't want to preempt it, but there's something we're very excited about here. We're writing our own Bible.
Yes.
Just in case you thought that we're not done arguing with the religious people, we are now coming with our own religious constitution. Otherwise, from us, it's see you next time, Claudette Sindaza. Let's bang it. What did
DJ Jazzo. Let's bang it.
Let's bang it. Claudette. It's a Friday.